This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on 12 December 2020. We're starting off with the event that shook the cybersecurity industry. FireEye has disclosed theft of its red team tools. The cybersecurity firm, best known for its incident response chops, said this week that it had been breached by a nation-state who hacked into its systems and stole its red team tools. The FireEye CEO revealed the hack in a blog post this past week, noting the company had contacted the FBI and is working with both the Bureau and Microsoft in an investigation of the attack. Quote, "This attack is different from the tens of thousands of incidents we have responded to throughout the years. The attackers tailored their world-class capabilities specifically to target and attack FireEye. They are highly trained in operational security and executed with discipline and focus. They operated clandestinely using methods that counter security tools and forensic examination. They used a novel combination of techniques not witnessed by us or partners in the past." Red team assessment tools mimic the behavior of many cyber threat actors and enable FireEye to provide diagnostic security services to their customers. According to FireEye, none of the tools contain zero-day exploits. They are stating that they are consistent with their goal in protecting the community and are proactively releasing methods and means to detect the use of their stolen tools. To date, FireEye is still not sure if the attackers intend to use the tools or publicly disclose them. Out of an abundance of caution, though, they have developed more than 300 countermeasures for their customers and the community at large to minimize the potential impact of the tools, which are now all available on GitHub. The mitigations, not the tools. FireEye did not reveal which nation-state is behind the attack, but according to the New York Times, it's believed to be Russia. The attackers were most likely looking for information on specific FireEye government customers, but according to the CEO, it doesn't appear they accessed any customer information from its IR or consulting projects or any metadata collected by FireEye products. They did, however, access some internal systems. FireEye stated that if they discover any customer information was taken, they will contact those customers directly. Some of the specifics of what the company has stated they are doing are they have prepared countermeasures that can detect and block the use of their stolen red team tools. They have implemented countermeasures in their own security products. They are sharing these countermeasures with the community via GitHub and in other means. They are making the countermeasures publicly available, and they will continue to share and refine any additional mitigations for their tools as they become available, both publicly and directly with their security partners. The CEO didn't disclose any specifics on how the attackers got past FireEye's own network defenses, but the attack raises age-old concerns about determined attackers' ability to crack even the most advanced security organizations. And one major challenge, or the major challenge that's faced by everybody, is getting widespread adoption of the countermeasures that FireEye has put out into the wild. Now, normally I would start with the follow-ups from stories we've covered previously. However, FireEye was just too big to bury the lead. Embera's data has leaked after the ransomware attack that happened last month. The compromised data appeared on a new dark web website created to publish leaked information, according to reports. The move appears to be a revenge for the Brazilian-based company's refusal to pay a ransomware attack, choosing instead to restore affected systems from backup, according to reports published by ZDNet. The files were published on a recently created dark website managed by the RansomX ransomware gang, also known as Defray 777. Embera is the third largest producer of airlines behind Boeing and Airbus, and the company has not yet specifically stated what kind of attack they suffered or if the data was stolen from the accessed environment, but Hundreds of megabytes of data have been found on the RansomX site, including folders pertaining to employee data, supply chain subcontracts, source code, 3D models, and photos of their aircraft, according to reports. The EU's medicine agency has been hit with a COVID-19 related cyber attack. Information relating to one of the most promising coronavirus vaccines has been unlawfully accessed following attack on the European regulatory body that's in the final stages of approving it, according to joint statements released this past week. The EUMA, based in Amsterdam, first disclosed the breach in a statement, it said only that EMA had been subject to a cyber attack and had begun a joint investigation along with law enforcement. The agency didn't say when the hack happened or whether the attackers sought vaccine information, whether or not it was infected with ransomware, or if they wanted to pursue some other purposes. An EMA spokesman said in an email that, quote, the agency is fully functional and work continues. However, around the same time, pharmaceutical company Pfizer and biotech company BioNTech issued a joint press release stating, today we were informed by the EMA that the agency has been subject to a cyber attack and that some documents relating to the regulatory submission from Pfizer and BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine candidate BNT162b2, which has been stored on an EMA server, had been unlawfully accessed. The company stated that neither of their systems were involved in the breach and that neither company is aware of any compromised data that identifies study participants. In the past several months, there has been a host of reports of hackers targeting research data related to the coronavirus and vaccines under development to prevent it. In July, the UK's National Cybersecurity Center said that Cozy Bear, a hacking group believed to be led by the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, had used a variety of tools and techniques to target pharmaceutical companies and academic institutions working on potential vaccines. That same month, federal prosecutors indicted 2 Chinese nationals on hacking charges and said the men had been trying to break into networks at a Maryland biotech firm and a Massachusetts biotech firm. Both firms were publicly known at the time of the hack to be working on COVID-19 vaccines. And last month, Microsoft said that hackers from Russia and North Korea had targeted at least 7 prominent companies involved in COVID-19 research in the United States, Canada, France, India, and South Korea. Last week, IBM said that people who were likely working on behalf of a nation-state had carried out a spear phishing campaign against companies involved in the COVID-19 supply chain. Hackers have also tried to attack pharmaceutical companies involved in vaccine research, including Johnson & Johnson, Novavax, AstraZeneca, and South Korean laboratories, according to the Wall Street Journal. Other countries accused of trying to hack COVID-19 research include, according to Reuters, Vietnam and Iran. Another Miria suspect pleads guilty. One of the operators behind the Miria botnet pleaded guilty to their involvement in a huge DDoS attack that caused a massive internet disruption in October of 2016. Multiple high-profile websites and online services, including Amazon, PayPal, Visa, Netflix, and the PlayStation Network, as well as Airbnb, were taken down as a direct result of that DDoS attack. The botnet, a variant of the Miria botnet, was developed by the defendant with the help of others between roughly 2015 until November 2016, specifically for being used to target gaming platforms. The conspirators used it to infect and convert internet-connected video cameras, recorders, and other Internet of Things devices into bots that were used as an army that powered the group's DDoS attack. The defendant, a minor at the time when the attacks took place, and his conspirators targeted their massive DDoS attack at the Sony PlayStation Network. But it also affected the systems of the domain name system provider DIN, After the attack, many of the sites and services using DIN's DNS servers were also affected by the attack and remained down throughout the next day, while the DNS provider was working to bring back up the main DNS servers targeted by the botnet. According to DIN, quote, "It appears the malicious attack were sourced from at least one botnet, with the retry storm providing a false indicator of a significantly larger set of endpoints than now we know it to be." DIN stated as well, "We are still working on analyzing the data, but the estimate at the time of this report is up to 100,000 malicious endpoints." The huge 2016 DDoS attack resulted in a massive internet disruption that later spread to hundreds of thousands of sites that use the DNS provider services. The massive attack indirectly affected DIN's servers and brought down a substantial part of the internet across both North America and Europe, as well as the Sony PlayStation Network, the primary target of the attack. The identity of the defendant was withheld because they were juvenile at the time the offense was committed. The individual's sentencing was scheduled for January 7th, 2021. The National Defense Authorization Act would create a position of the National Cybersecurity Director. The incoming administration will likely have a new post to fill, National Cybersecurity Director. The final draft of the National Defense Authorization Act, one of the few truly must-pass annual bills, contains a provision calling for a Senate-confirmed position to orchestrate cyber strategy and coordinate incident response. The position would, in theory, serve as a prominent role in cooperative efforts between government and industry. The National Cybersecurity Director language in the NDAA was based on the National Cybersecurity Director Act, first proposed by Representative Jim Levine, a Democrat from Rhode Island. The role has been backed by the bipartisan Cyberspace Solarium Commission, and the Government Accountability Office described the position of its ilk as, quote, urgently needed. The inclusion of the National Cybersecurity Director Act in this year's NDAA brings us closer to establishing an overarching and more effective cyber strategy to protect the nation, according to Levine. Levine has also been pushing for the executive branch to permanently create such a position since 2010. The White House used to have an advisor denoted to cybersecurity, the White House Cybersecurity Coordinator. I previously worked for that position when Howard Schmidt was the coordinator as one of the directors for cybersecurity. The position was last held by Rob Joyce and was abolished by then Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton when he streamlined the NSC. Until then, the coordinator's post was widely viewed as a critical mechanism to keep the executive branch's cybersecurity efforts working in concert, including offensive and defensive operations. Since it was deleted, bipartisan lawmakers have looked to get the position back. At a panel Wednesday, moderated by SC's media editor-in-chief Jill Atrio, Representative Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin said that Solarium determined, quote, a national cyber director modeled after the U.S. Trade Representative was the best option, or at least the least bad option, to codify an executive branch position. In previous interviews, including with SC Media, Mike Gallagher has stated that he generally opposes creating new bureaucracies, but given the importance of incorporating cybersecurity expertise into the executive branch, a cybersecurity director is the least bureaucratic solution. The other option, he stated, was creating a full Department of Cybersecurity, which he believed would be overkill. The National Cybersecurity Director was not the only cybersecurity effort to make it into the NDAA, which included 25 other Solarium recommendations. Among the other provisions included one that would provide subpoena power to the Department of Homeland Security for tracking critical infrastructure vulnerabilities, and another that would bolster efforts to maintain a federal cybersecurity workforce, and others that would create various cyber-related agencies and studies. And one final one would be that CISA would be required to hire cybersecurity coordinators for every state. The government of Pakistan wants to intercept citizens' HTTPS traffic again. This marks the third time since 2015 that the Kazakh government is mandating the installation of a root certificate on citizens' devices. This is done under the guise of a cybersecurity exercise, according to the Kazakhstan government, but it is forcing citizens in its capital of Nur-Sultan to install a digital certificate on their devices if they want to access foreign internet services. Once installed, the certificate would allow the government to intercept all HTTPS traffic made from users' devices via a technique called man-in-the-middle. Starting on December 6th, the Kazakh internet service provider ISPs such as Beeline, Tele2, and Kcell are redirecting Nur-Sultan-based users to web pages showing instructions on how to install the government certificate. Earlier in the week, Nur-Sultan residents also received SMS messages informing them of the new rules. Users in the capital have told the press that they are not able to access sites like Google, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Netflix without installing the government's root certificate. This is the Kazakhstan government's third attempt at forcing citizens to install root certificates on their devices, after a first attempt in December 2015 and the second in July of 2019. Both previous attempts failed after browser makers blacklisted the government's certificate. In a statement published on Friday, government officials described their efforts to intercept HTTPS traffic as a cybersecurity training exercise for government agencies, telecoms, and private companies. They cited the fact that cyber attacks targeting Kazakhstan's segment of the internet grew 2.7 times during the current COVID-19 pandemic as the primary reason for launching the exercise. Officials did not say how long the training exercise will last. The Kazakhstan government used a similarly vague statement last year in 2019 describing its actions as a, quote, security measure to protect citizens, unquote. Representatives from major browser makers, pivotal in blocking the Kazakh government's first two attempts to backdoor HTTPS traffic, told the press they will investigate the recent incident and take appropriate measures. And finally, just in time for Christmas, package delivery lockers have been hacked. A mysterious hacker used a cyber attack to force open the doors of 2,732 package delivery lockers across Moscow this past week. The attack targeted the network of Pickpoint, a local delivery service that maintains a network of more than 8,000 package lockers across Moscow and St. Petersburg. Russians can order their products online and choose to have any of their orders delivered to a Pickpoint locker instead of their home address. Once the packages arrive, users receive an email or a mobile notification, and they can show up and pick up their packages using the Pickpoint app. This is very similar to what Amazon does with its Amazon Locker service here in the United States. However, the same system that allows users to open lockers and retrieve their packages was the system that was attacked. Using a yet-to-be-identified exploit, the hacker forced open the doors for a third of Pickpoint's lockers, leaving thousands of packages exposed to theft across Moscow. The reason for the attack has yet to be discovered, but in press releases, Pickpoint said it notified authorities. The Russian company said it is currently working to restore its network, which has been damaged during the attack. It also remains unclear if packages were stolen from the lockers. According to social media posts, guards and landlords were quick to intervene on behalf of customers and clients and restrict access to the obviously malfunctioning lockers. As the company highlighted in its press release, this appears to be a, quote, the world's first targeted cyber attack against a post-gateway network, unquote. That's all for the news this week. I'm your professor of cyber risk. We'll talk again soon.